Following Vice President Kamala Harris's official presidential nomination from the Democratic Party, the U.S. is preparing for an intense election in November as she faces off against Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. Pollsters indicate the election is expected to be highly competitive, with both candidates having strong support among voters.
But how might the election results affect Taiwan and U.S.-China relations? Taiwan's English language radio station ICRT held a roundtable discussion on Monday, inviting U.S. political commentators and Taiwanese legislators to discuss potential geopolitical shifts.
There's a huge appreciation for Taiwan in the United States on both sides of the aisle. And I think we see with Harris, she's been the tip of the spear in terms of hopping onto airplanes and flying around to various Asian governments in and around Taiwan, out all over the Indo-Pacific region, and has been communicating and connecting very well and talking about Taiwan. That very positive perception of Taiwan as a do-gooder around the world is, I think, one of its most important opportunities.
That a Trump administration is going to have more people who want to do more stuff and more high-profile stuff with regard to Taiwan than a Harris administration would. I'll give a very easy example. 4 years ago at this time, in August and September of 2020, the Trump administration sent the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, to visit Taiwan. And then a few weeks later, in early September, the Undersecretary of State, Keith Cratch, came to Taiwan. I think a Trump administration is going to put a lot more pressure on Taiwan, with apologies to Michael, to increase defense spending much more than 2.5%. So if you say Taiwan is doing a good job, it's going to go up to 2.5%. I think a Trump administration is going to say that's simply not enough. It's got to be more.
The American lawyers agree there likely won't be significant changes in Taiwan policy, emphasizing that both Democratic and Republican officials recognize Taiwan's importance within the Asia-Pacific region. This sentiment is also echoed by legislators in Taiwan.
In terms of the policies, the general direction, I think, will be largely the same, broadly speaking. I think for three main reasons. One is the global trend on China is clear, and that's really China's own doing. And secondly, as I mentioned, Taiwan enjoys strong bipartisan support in the U.S. And finally, U.S.-Taiwan relations are rooted in law, namely the Taiwan Relations Act.
Meanwhile, Taiwan's main opposition party points out that in strengthening national defense, Taiwan needs to do its part in investing and shifting into asymmetric warfare and focusing on the improvement of language skills.
We strike more on the build up asymmetric capability, and also we emphasize on talent. All the NCOs and officers, their lack of language ability. If there were really a war or a fight between Taiwan and China, and we have to fight shoulder with the U.S. Army, and we are lack of people that could communicate directly with them, how can we fight?
We are prepared for war, but we don't invite wars ourselves.
Experts suggest Harris will likely continue the Biden administration's approach toward Taiwan, emphasizing regional solidarity, while Trump's approach may be more transactional, focusing on outcomes beneficial to the U.S. However, most agree both parties' views and appreciation toward Taiwan as a strong democracy and trade partner won't change much.
As the election approaches, Taiwan and other nations in the region will closely monitor the potential changes that a new administration could bring. This is Vivian Xiao for TVBS World Taiwan.